Hey guys, Zane from the Infinite Jukebox here with another quick album review, and today I wanted to talk about the new Zach Bryan record, Zach Bryan. It's self-titled. After 2022's grand Americana epic American Heartbreak, Zach Bryan left himself some pretty big shoes of his own to fill. I mean, that record was personally in my top 10 of last year, and despite how many accusations it may have gotten of being bloated or being downright unnecessary, with a lot of songs not really sticking out, I personally found it to be a consistently transcendent experience and easily one of the best country albums, not only of last year, but of the century up to this point. I went into his self-titled album far from expecting the same exact thing, however. After all, this album is very obviously meant to be a more commercial stab overall, and I can greatly appreciate that. After collaborations with artists like the Lumineers and most notably Casey Musgraves allowed Zach Bryan to gain further popularity, he went from alternative country singer-songwriter favorite to one of the biggest names in the genre as a whole practically overnight, and I'm super happy for the guy. I mean, sure, he was big before, but now he's just absolutely massive, and as such, I was really curious to see where he went with his next studio album. And while it is very strong overall, I still do feel like it's too major of a step down from its predecessor. The songwriting here is the main thing that maintains its steadiness, the main thing that even really carries over from American Heartbreak and other Zach Bryan releases up to this point. I mean, tracks like Jake's Piano, Long Island, and Overtime, which are major highlights on the track list in my eyes, are so beautifully penned and are just perfect demonstrations of why Zach Bryan is unquestionably one of the great singer-songwriter storytellers of this generation of country musicians. And that's about where the really great things end, even if nothing else here is particularly bad. For example, the instrumentation here is fine, but far from being as good as it should and definitely could be. Much of the instrumentals here just feel downright less striking than other Zach Bryan records. I mean, some of the more up-tempo numbers certainly capture this nocturnal country feel very well, but at the same time, some of the more minimalist numbers that primarily come in the last quarter, half of the album, give or take, they just feel like they have a lot left to be done with. It just feels not that they're unfinished, just that they didn't have enough put onto them. The final track run from Spotless to Oklahoman Son especially just feel like they don't end off the album well. It's not that they're bad songs, in fact, they're actually quite good, but they don't live up to the greatness of the first handful of tracks on the record or anything else that Zach Bryan has really done up to this point. I mean, they're fine songs, and they would even be standout tracks for anybody else, but it feels like he's set a certain bar and standard for himself that those songs just don't meet, and the fact that they end off the record causes the entire listening experience to come off as a little bit limp. With all of that being set aside, Zach Bryan still has a great voice, he is a fantastic vocalist, and you know what? There are very few wordsmiths like him out there right now that are still producing relevant, solid music. I mean, the guy's pretty enchanting overall in terms of a songwriter. He really manages to combine modernized personal storytelling with a folklore-ish vibe that ultimately results in something great. His self-titled album may not be as grand as American Heartbreak, but it's still a pretty strong record overall, even if I do walk away from it feeling ever so slightly disappointed. I'm going to give this record 3.5 stars out of 5. With that being said, that is the end of this quick album review. I've been Zane from the Infinite Jukebox. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.